Hi everyone, it's Michelle from Country Morning Creations and I'm back. I am calling today's fail to fab, and hopefully it ends up being fab. What I did was I used this dimensional effects paintable texture and used a stencil to add some roses to this piece of cardstock that I had printed out using a printable from Dots Studio Designs. And I don't like how it looks. I don't like the color. This was without adding any color to it. It's a little bit see-through, so you can see some of the stuff through it. I posted on Instagram that I didn't like this, and half the people said, oh, it's fabulous, just leave it the way it is. And I could see that. I could see it being left the way it is. However, I still don't like it. So I am going to use this to make a birthday card for my sister, whose birthday is next Thursday. So hopefully by the time we're done, we'll have a fabulous birthday card. Real quick, I do want to do a quick shout out to Dots Studio Designs. If you have not heard of them before, that is who I've used for a lot of the printables. This is what I used to make this cover. I still need to put the journal stuff in it, but right now I have the cover. And they have a Facebook group where they put up a bunch of freebies. So I will link the Facebook group below, their Etsy shop, and their Instagram. You need to follow them. They are in Poland and they do not have their shop open right now. I will give you that heads up. However, on March 1st, the shop will be open temporarily, and then they will be opening permanently in August. So if you want to grab some of these printables that I've shown you over the last couple of things, you definitely need to get on their Etsy mailing shop, and you need to get in their Facebook group because that's where they're going to make those announcements. So if you like any of these printables, you will need to do that. So the first thing, getting back to this tutorial, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I decided I'm going to burnish it with some Gold Rush. This is Deco Art Metallic Luster Gold Rush. And I open this up, it's a little bit dry, but what's nice, this is water-based. So I'm just going to do a couple of sprays of water in here to kind of mix this around a little bit, and it's really gotten hard. But a little bit of water will help soften it up if it's just too hard and it's not pliable anymore. You still can use it, so it's not a total absolute waste, and you can still use it a little bit. So what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to start down here at the bottom. I tried painting it, that didn't work very well. And I'm just going to go real lightly with the gold over the top. And that actually seems to be blending it in a little bit better, so it doesn't stand out quite as much. It does say it's paintable when it's dry, and so I'm just going real lightly with my fingers over this, and now it's standing out a little bit better. So I like how that looks. It's got some really great shiny effects. So let's do that up at the top here, and it's just real lightly going over this at the top so that it will kind of stand out and be a little bit shiny. And I know you can also use a brush to do this as well, but I am just using my fingers to do this. And then I'm going to actually, when we're done with this, I will take some distress ink and go over this all again. And that will help make this stand out a little better because the distress ink, but I want to put the gold down first so that it's a little bit shiny. And we can do that. Probably should have done this before I turned on my camera, but it's part of the process, right? And what I did when I used the stencil, I didn't lay the whole stencil down and do the whole stencil. So this was putting down the stencil and picking it back up again, and then laying it down and picking it back up again. And so it wasn't just, so that there was gaps. I didn't want the rose pattern to be completely over the top of all of this. So that's a little bit of what I did. Ooh, I'm really loving how this looks. And so this is going to end up again being what's called multimedia or mixed media art. I'm going to use a variety of different things to make this card. And so when you're using metals and fabrics and laces and things of that nature, it really does, it's called mixed media because you're mixing together a bunch of different medias. So I've got that done, and I'm going to take my Tim Holtz Gathered Twigs Distress Ink and put that over the top of this. And I'm just going to use this brush, and we're going to just kind of go over the top of that and see how that's now making that stand out a little better so that that raised area stands out. And so I'm just brushing real gently with this to get that done. All right, so now we're done with this part and we're going to move on. So I want to, I thought about just folding this in half because it's just plain cardstock, but it's a little bit bumpy from all of this, and I am going to go ahead and cut this out and glue this to a regular piece of cardstock. So I just need to grab my paper trimmer so I can measure this. We want this to be, I think, 5.5. Let's see, this measures out at 8.5, so we want to cut this at the 4.25 mark. Go this way. I guess it really doesn't matter which way you put this in here. So the half quarter should be about right there. So we're going to cut this at the 4.25 mark. And this is now going to be glued to the front of this piece. Yes. And I think I'm going to use this. This is the glitter art that it has become really popular, and I can see why. I have really liked using it. And as usual, the whole tip is all gummed up. So hang on, let me grab that pin. I find I sometimes have to take the tip off and run the pin through from the other side. So even though there's a pin in it, there frequently is a big chunk that gets stuck inside of it. And so I take that out, and we're just going to go around the edge of this. I like how fast this grabs, so when I'm trying to do a really quick project and I don't feel like I have enough time to actually wait for glue to dry, I find that this is a great option to use over the other kinds that are. And also, it doesn't seem to be as wet, and because I'm not putting as much down, it dries faster and it doesn't seem to wrinkle my paper as much. All right, so let's put this down on top of this. But it grabs really fast, so you don't have a lot of time if you're, like, for example, I need to slide this down just a wee bit. It didn't quite line up right. And so, yeah, if you are trying to move things around, it dries really quickly, and you'll need to give yourself plenty. It just, yeah. You don't want to wait too long or it will dry. So now we have this cover and this great base to build upon. And I've already typed happy birthday. I have an old electric typewriter. I also have an old manual typewriter. I have both. And for this one, I used my old electric typewriter. And I'm going to do a play on time again, just like I did with the other one, like on the cover. So I have a couple of different ones. This one's actually smaller, so I want to go a little bit smaller, and I'm going to use this clock face, and let's find 12. There's the 12. So now I have it right side up. And of course, I definitely want to grunge up the whole thing. So we're going to grunge around this clock face. And again, this is kind of going to be the main focal point for this birthday card. because the inside sentiment is going to say time flies when you're having fun. My sister and I are both in our 50s now, so kind of time has flown, it feels like. So I am going to go ahead and ink this all the way around. And my sister is an artist as well. She was a architect, and now she's a winemaker in California. So I think making wine is an art, right? And I'm going to go ahead and ink up the back because, again, backs of things should be pretty, and we'll probably put something on the back here as well, just so that it's not all, you know, plain. You never know. Backs should be pretty too. So now we've inked around the whole thing, and this is a nice neutral background. It's got some texture and things, but it's kind of neutral. And we're going to start doing a little bit of layering. And so I want to be able to also put this on here with the happy birthday. And maybe, I've always liked the putting the lace on the bottom with the sentiment on the bottom. So, and I keep rotating that so I make sure I keep it right side up. I'd hate to have the clock upside down because that would be not so good. And I'm thinking this lace would be perfect at the bottom with this piece on it. So let's get this glued down. And these are my sewing scissors. I have them marked with their orange and everything. So I only use these for cutting the lace. I will not use this for cutting paper. Now, because this is lace, I do like to use this glue for laces. And we're going to leave it loose. We're just going to glue down the top part. I keep saying we like I'm royal. You know, the royal we, right? No, I'm not royal, and I don't think I have any royal blood in me. And anyway. So I am going to glue this piece down right here. And we're going to leave it loose because I'm going to do some other parts. But I think behind the clock we need some pieces of interest. And I get this from Tim Holtz. These are Tim Holtz, this is a Tim Holtz die cut. And so I have both of these things that we can use to put something interesting behind the clock. And we could do this down right over top of this lace, and that would add a little bit of interest there, and do maybe this one sticking out. Well, that doesn't stick out much there. Maybe we won't put that over there. Maybe instead we can have a little piece like this sticking out. That's almost too big. And I have this piece as well. We're going to leave that one there. That's a maybe. Too big. Too small. Let's see what this one looks like. A couple of different options here. And that sticks down over top of the lace, which is fine, actually. And those flowers match those flowers. That may be a little matchy-matchy for some of you people, but I'm kind of digging this. So let's start gluing these pieces down. This, of course, needs to get, and this will need to get grunged up a little bit. So I'm grabbing my gathered twigs again, and we're just going to go around the edges. And actually for this piece, I'm going to use my, this isn't a makeup brush, an old makeup brush. Those are really popular right now. I've seen a lot of people using them. But where I like it for pieces that are like this, where you've got all these irregular sides, it just meshes better than the sponge top does, and makes it a little bit easier to get all the way around and grunge things up like that. So we have that piece. This I've already done. And then I need to do this piece as well. And so for this one, I'm going to go ahead and use this to grunge this up. And just kind of going to go around all this. And then I do like to do the inside as well. So we're going to get down into that inside area a little bit. And then this actually has I'm not seeing it, but usually this is embossed as well. And so, oh, that's because I put the plate upside down. So we're not going to worry about that. We're going to just use it anyway, right? All right, so again, okay, I live in Colorado. It's very dry right now. We're expecting a major storm to come in tomorrow. So I want to get these pieces glued down. But I need to remember to put caps back on. That's why stuff like this is already dried out in just those few seconds that we had and gummed up. So yeah, we definitely need to keep lids on things or else stuff really gets dried out. Let's see if I can push that piece of dried glue out of there. There we go. Back to work. So anyway, yes, we are expecting a lot of snow over the weekend. It's one of those, it could be 2 to 3 inches or it could be 2 feet. So yeah, that's the joys of living in Colorado in the wintertime. And I live above 6,000 feet elevation, and that doesn't help either with the with all of that and the snow and everything. So yes, we still have snow on the ground from November. It has not melted. Stuff on the north sides just doesn't melt. So when I'm gluing little pieces like this, I want to get as much of it glued down as possible, because if it catches, then it will tear or not look nice. And so this is where having a little fine tip is really good for this sort of little tiny fine work that we are doing today. And I'm going to put that over here. And then at this point, we're going to glue down our clock face, which is this one, and there's my 12. And I'm just going to throw some glue on this as well. And maybe we'll do this a little bit off center. I'm definitely one of those people who loves things off center. I have other friends that can't stand it when things are off center. Personally, I like things being off center. And now we need to glue this piece together as well. I'm just grabbing some paper scissors because I don't want to use, and this is just offcuts that I have. But let's see if we can center this. All right. There's that. So I didn't cut that very straight on the bottom, but I do want to cut it a little bit straighter on the top. And I'm going to leave it a little bit wonky on the bottom so that we can hopefully glue all of this down. And there we go. So I'm going to run some glue around this. Yes, you can see somehow, I don't know what I did. I clearly cut that out wrong when I did the die cutting. But my sister will never know if you don't tell her. She does not follow me and does not watch these, so she's not even going to know she's actually getting a birthday card. If we send birthday cards in my family, traditionally, they arrive very late, like up to a month late. So, yeah, that's kind of the way my family operates. We don't usually do birthday cards. All right, so this is super cute, and I definitely am going to put this off center. And I don't think I'm going to put any brads through this. I thought I might, but I think I am just going to go ahead and glue this straight down to the lace. And let's just do, well, again, I'm gluing this to lace. And when I'm doing anything to a fabric or something like that, I do like to use the acetone instead. So I am going to glue this down. And I know it's not quite dry, but it'll dry while we're waiting. And we're going to glue that right there. So now we've got all these layers, and a couple of other things I want to do, I'm thinking about doing to add to this, to add some layers and some interest. I don't think I'm going to do a lot with the metal pieces because I am going to mail this to her. She lives in California and I live in Colorado. So I don't want to do that. But I was thinking I might put a tag off of this. You know what? At this point, I think that's overkill and we're not going to do a tag. But I do want to grab, I have these Tim Holtz small talks, and like there's one here that says don't forget to fly. Let's see if they have one that is something about flying and something encouraging. I like these because these are really encouraging ones. I love this set. He has lots of them, so that's kind of fun. And let's see if we can find the one about flying. Oh, use your wings. That's a good one. Let's see. You guys are probably screaming, it's right there, right there. With brave wings, she flies. Ugh, I like that one. All right, so the other thing I want to do real quickly is I do want to put a butterfly on the clock so that it kind of stands out. And I'm going to do this, but I'm going to ink the edges of this as well. It's already kind of grungy, but I do, again, want to help this to stand out because a lot of these colors are starting to blend together. And we want the different elements to stand out. And if we don't ink up the edges, they won't stand out as much. So by inking up the edges, those edges will now stand out a little better. And it will stand out more as a butterfly separate from the clock face. So for this, I'm actually just going to glue the body of the butterfly down. And we're going to just glue that real quickly. And we're going to put that right there. So the body is glued down. Now, normally, if I wasn't going to put this in the mail, I would put bling on the butterfly. I would add metal bits. I would add all kinds of stuff. But for today, I may just have to add one little metal bit. May have to put a clock hand over the butterfly if I can find a small one. I may not, but if I can find a small one, this is even a smaller one. All right, I think I'm going to just have to do this. We're going to have to glue a clock hand over the butterfly. I love that idea. Going to go ahead and just use the Fabrifix again. It's an acetone based, and this seems to hold the metal pieces better. Don't you love how indecisive I am? Indecision is the mother of creativity, I think. It really helps you be creative. It's like, no, I'm not going to. Yes, I am. So now we have that, and then we're going to use our With Brave Wings, She Flies, and we're going to add that. Now, this is totally white. And we don't want to, trying to look for, I had some, oh, there they are. You really should see my whole, I don't have finger, do you like the way I'm just going in 50 million different directions all at once? Probably had too much coffee this morning instead of not having enough. All right, there we go. So I was looking for my tweezers, and we're going to grunge this up as well because it's too white. So one of the things I love about these is we can change the color and then it's not, and these are stickers, so that makes that easy. All right, so we don't want that white standing out. So this is the cover of the birthday card for my sister. To kind of go over it again, we added some lace here and we added a little piece of metal here. We have the little pieces behind it that are coming out over the lace. We have our happy birthday here. And I am sitting here going, you know what? I want something hanging off of this, and I decided that other piece was too big. So I'm going to hang this little tiny key off of the lace right here because, yeah, I just can't stand it. We're going to put it here. So I'm going to add a bulb pin with a little key on it, and that will just lay down there. And there's the key. So going back over this again, it's just a piece of cardstock. We changed this cardstock and it had already some dimensional parts to it. I don't even know what to call that. And again, a lot of it's been covered up, but that's okay. We added some extra pieces. These are all from Dot's Studio Design. Again, the link will be below. Go join their Facebook. Some lace and some other pieces. And so now it is ready on the inside for me to write my sentiments. So I hope you enjoyed this little craft with me project of taking a total fail, a piece that looked like this, and turning it into this gorgeous, fabulous birthday card. So I hope that in all of this, I've inspired you to be creative today.